I see a Budweiser. Go ahead and hold it up.
Yes.
That was the biggest clue.
Yes, right
Doing
there.
it for Dale.
Man, it's so many gimmicks, right? I feel like they're making it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. I mean, a lot of people, you get polarizing opinions on DRS.
I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here, but sometimes the effort, it's all about the boys. You know, like, hey, you
It
know,
is.
life sucks sometimes, and you need
Yes.
the boys.
iRacing kind of always has a tendency to kind of buff
Yes.
the new cars just a little bit. I'm not gonna go on record saying it's because they want people to spend money on their platform and buy all the new
Conspiracy
content.
confirmed.
But
Yes.
but
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting. And we are here again with the Weekend Warriors. It's week 9, and we're going to be at Circuit Park Zandvoort, or Zandvoort, it's more affectionately known. As we have a look at the track temperature, a nice warm, I say nice and warm, it depends on your temperament, but 89 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you look at the actual weather itself, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. It looks like it's going to be clear skies today. But my name is Daniel Zippy Salmon. Joining me in the booth today is going to be Randall McGrew. And we've let him at the controls again. The security fence is up. Adam Thompson at the controls. But let's take a look at your championship standings. As you see there, a very familiar name at the top of the leaderboard. It's Jason Green in the 160 car for CC Motorsport with 702 points. LS Plaver in second with Daniel Wood in third. Dudu Castro, quite a little bit of a gap there between third and fourth. He's there in fourth place. Joshua Justice in fifth with Flavio and Darlo a little bit behind him there. Let's have a look at the S2 standings as well. Russell Telka is ahead with Andrew Love behind him and Joshua Wilkie there in third. But we are currently in qualifying, ladies and gentlemen, and oh, my apologies. We've got to do the Masters as well. How could I forget our senior citizens, ladies and gentlemen? And Antonio Reese, he's top of the food chain with 563 points. Jörg Manny, absolutely fantastic to talk to him. He's there in second with Tom Gradwell, actually not that far behind him in third. So definitely would be keen to see how this race turns out. But let's take a quick look at qualifying. And Richard, damn it, my apologies. Randall, how would you like to take us through a lap, sir? Do the honors.
Absolutely, we're on board here, or going to be on board shortly. Hopefully with somebody coming out of that last corner. We're going to be joining Hayden Bramley as he's going to dip into the pits, as is tradition. Anytime, oh no, he's going to fake us out. He's going to take the run down the start-finish straight towards the famous Tarzan corner, and I imagine it feels like riding a jungle vine, and then he will abandon. So he faked this twice. And now we're going to jump to Dudu Castro, perhaps another fast driver. As we see him, he's approaching the last section of the track, a very tricky chicane here, known as the Hans Ernst chicane. Let's see him get through this. This is going to be a part of the track that catches a lot of drivers out. And then as he's approaching was named turn 13, it's only turn 9 today since we're doing the national layout. And then coming through Ari Leyendijk corner to set up his run to the line and to start another flying lap. We see him currently P5. Hopefully he can improve that. Normally we see him right up there at the sharp end of the leaderboard. Dudu Castro setting a time, coming down the start-finish straight. Now going to approach Tarzan corner, and I imagine it does feel like riding a vine through the jungle. He's going to get a very late apex, and then it has to abandon. This happens every time we try to do a flying lap with this series. We end up getting abandonments. We're going to go with Jason Green in the green machine. See him coming through the Hans Ernst chicane and approaching turn 13. That's actually turn 9. We'll get him to run through Ari Leyendijk corner, a very high bank corner. See them carry a lot of speed. You see him running the top line, trying to build up a bit more top speed on that run to the start finish straight. So this gives me a little bit of confidence that he's setting up for a flying lap this time around. Coming down that start finish straight, going to set up on the left-hand side of the track for that long right-hander to come through Tarzan corner. He apexes pretty early. I've seen a few different lines here, later apex from some drivers. Gonna make the run down to turn 2, gonna downshift into third gear and sacrifice the exit to set up for the outside run through turn 3. If you watch Formula One, you see them run that outside line. If you're familiar with oval racing, progressive banking on that corner, so the outside line actually faster. Coming up on the run to turn 6, this is the hairpin cut through for the national layout. Very tight. They're going to run a very tight line through there all day, and then set up on the left side of the track to open up the entry, the Hans Ernst chicane. This corner here leading into the chicane catches a lot of people out. A lot of struggles with off throttle oversteer there. You see him keep a very tight exit, run out to the exit curb, get over to the left-hand side of the track to open up turn 13, get back to the throttle as early as possible for the easily flat out Ari Lindike corner, riding right down there on the white line, and then onto the apex curbing, letting it drift back out across the track to come across the line, and we'll see if he can improve this lap. Does not look like he improved.
Well, I've got to say, a respectable time. Nonetheless, definitely a lot quicker than I would have been. Zandvoort is not one of the tracks I'm super familiar with, but I do recognize parts of it from Formula One. That banked corner you describing, seeing where Daniel Ricciardo chooses to take the wall and break his wrist rather than impact another racer. So good sportsmanship there, but definitely a costly budget occurred after that. But definitely, we got about, let me see here, zippy math, 4 minutes left of qualifying. And I see there, Hayden Bramley, he's out in front. Bobby West in second with Jason Green in third. I'm having a look to see who's currently looking good on pace right now. And it looks like Dudu Castro, in theory, is about a 10th, if not 2 tenths up on his pace right now. He may be able to improve. Daniel Wood also there with a purple sector.
So we're seeing some drivers struggle there with the cut through. That's the other pain point that's going to be on this track, is that turn 6. It's not exactly blind, but it's a little blind, and it's hard to judge exactly where you should start your turn. And we've seen some drivers braking a little bit late, carrying too much speed through there and spinning. That ended up impacting Adam Bradshaw's lap. And now we're watching the number 28 car of Daniel Wood come down the hill, and they're skipping the really, really interesting part of the track to me for this national layout, but we still get a lot of action. That the section of the track that they're cutting off has a lot of elevation change with high-speed corners. It can be very tricky, but there's plenty of tricky spots on the track still here in the Hans Ernst chicane. Daniel Wood may be able to make it through there pretty cleanly, and I think he's on a decent lap here.
Well, let's see if the 28 car can pull out something a little bit better, try and move himself up the order. As it stands right now, he's got 3 masters ahead of him of Adam Branshaw, Tom Guadro, and Jeff Fritcher there. And he's definitely going to want to be try and be keen to get ahead of those, because if not, it's going to give Dudu Castro a leg up at the start. Is he going to be able to improve on that time? You see Montgomery, he's managed to improve as well, splitting up those masters. And it looks like Daniel Wood not yet able to improve up the standings. Antonio Reese currently sat back in 10th. Honestly, I'm expecting a little bit more from that gentleman there. I think he's got the pace, but Jörg Manny yet to post a time. I don't know if they're even in the session at this point.
Yeah, might see Jörg try the worst to first challenge this week, but right now not interested in setting a time, probably not even wanting to join the race. Antonio Reese, like you said, punching under his weight where he normally is. We see another driver struggling, 2 drivers, 3 drivers struggling with the cut through. Everybody trying to get out of everybody's way often leads to getting in the way, and now we see other drivers checking up, trying to get some people through. Some slipstreaming going on here between Antonio Reese and Wilkie. Wilkie leading this pair right now, and as they come through Tarzan turn. So there's some really tricky overtaking spots. We may see some overtaking here in turn 3, also known as Hugenholz. You might see somebody try to make a dive to the inside and then not have the great runoff and end up too wide on that cut through. We jump to Antonio Reese here, and maybe going to see some improvement, hopefully, out of Antonio. Otherwise, he's going to have a lot of making up to do.
Well, he definitely needs to deliver, and it looks like he's not quite been able to do it, judging by the growth. No, he's managed to improve, but, excuse me, only very slightly. I say that. Still holding on to 10th place. So Dudu's looking pretty quick right now. 73 car. Oh, as he dipped a wheel, is that going to invalidate his lap? We'll find out very quickly. I'm pretty sure he'll bail on it if he does, potentially maybe even set up the next one. But a fun thing to think about during this qualifying session is that it's open qualifying. So all the cars are out on track at the same time. And having that slipstream, especially in these Spec Racer Fords, can be absolutely pivotal in getting that top qualifying time.
We see him take that high line through Ari Lindite corner, so either he was already on a setup for a fast lap, or he decided to abandon that run and take that high line to build up some speed. We're going to watch here as we have Gary Wobalt on track coming through turn 3 now. He's running really high in that chicane, in that turn 3. Your Sevix here coming off Ari Lindite, going to blend out and come across the line. We'll see if he's able to improve. And I'd also like to point out right now in P7, Chris Montgomery on the Spec 2 pole as your Sevix jumps up to P14. Montgomery up there with the Masters, high up on the leaderboard, and going to have a nice little gap back to P2 in the Spec 2.
That's definitely a good position to be in, because even though these guys are looking for the overall points as well, you definitely want to be aware of who is on track and who is your nearest competition. So as you were saying, Chris Montgomery having that good jump over Joshua Wilkie as well. And as we say that as well, we got Adam Bradshaw. You know, he's going to be surrounded with Tom Gradwell, and then a little bit of a gap there to Fritcher as well. But Antonio Reese, definitely, I do want to see more from him. But again, he is kind of, you know, you get the tortoise and the hare, and definitely, you know, he pulls off some very interesting strategies, which so far we've seen pay off pretty much consistently so far, as long as he can keep that car clean.
This track also might be pretty good for an undercut, which is what we've seen Antonio Reese do in the FF a lot. We'll see if he tries to do that here in the Spec Racer Ford. You cut off turn 1 on the pit exit, so you're off the limiter and you have a much shorter run around turn 1, and then you blend out into the track. You should have more speed in theory. It is a tighter radius, so you might have to slow down a little bit more, but you should be able to get to the throttle a little bit earlier and win any drag race coming off pit lane with anybody on the track.
But definitely the undercut is a strategy that we've seen work very well here, as qualifying is going to start to come to a close. People just trying to finish their last flying laps, and we'll have a look at that grid as soon as it becomes available. But I got to say, you know, you picked out the winner last time. You absolutely slam dunked that decision there, Randall. Now, I think this time I'm going to try and take the honors on this one, and my money is actually going to be on Bobby West today. Even though he's qualified second position, I do remember running with him back when I used to run the Spec Racer Fords, and that guy always had pace. Don't get me wrong, Dudu Castro is definitely a threat, but looking at the points, not yet been able to deliver. So my pick's going to be the 89 car of Bobby West. As we take a look at the grid there. So in first place, we've got Hayden Bramley in the 00 car with Bobby West alongside him in second. Jason Green takes up the first spot in the second row with the third position. Dudu Castro in fourth. As we have a look at our Masters now, Adam Bradshaw in fifth with Tom Gradwell alongside him in sixth. Chris Montgomery does it for the S2s in 7th with Jeff Pritchard alongside him in 8th. As we have Daniel Wood, the Mexican driver, in 9th with Antonio Reese. That's definitely a seasoned gentleman you guys are getting used to seeing a lot of. He's there in 10th with Joshua Wilkie in 11th and Bradford Gould in 12th.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted there. Andrea Favini in starting P13 in the number 27 entry alongside the 099 of Joshua Justice. Arnis Jurcevic starting in P15 alongside Russell Telker, who is your points leader in Spec 2. 17th sees Brad Cathcart and Jeff Jacobson in 18th. Kurt Nunez and Andrew Love are going to start behind them with Paul Jackson in 21st, Gary Wobolt in 22nd. 23rd, Wayne Buttermore, and last on the field, and it does look like he has taken the grid, is going to be the Masters P2 driver of Jurg Manny.
Well, definitely going to be interesting to see what he can pull off from there. And definitely it's going to be a fun and interesting race. But the guys are grid up. And this is a standing start, ladies and gentlemen. So, no, I thought we were doing a standing start.
Yeah, we're going to have to get that pace car out of the way if they're going to be doing a standing start. That's going to be a full pace lap around here.
I was getting so excited for a standing start. My apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. I saw the lights above and I got all excited. And it's fair to say a little bit of false advertising on my part, as we see a little bit of a weave on the tires from one of those cars up at the front row. Actually, a little bit of a burnout from one of the guys further at the back, which, to be fair, in a Spec Ford, you know, you've really got to be pushing it quite hard to get that thing to light up. So we see there the headshot of Bobby West. Definitely a bid that I cannot contend with, but obviously with that comes wisdom, and he's managed to get himself on that second spot of the grid.
We'll see a pretty interesting run to the first corner. There's not really going to be a good opportunity for the leader to catch anybody sleeping. We don't have anything like a chicane to come out of or a very tight corner that leads onto the start-finish straight. So if you're Bobby West, you're just keeping your eye over and watching that car of Hayden Bramley to see when he goes to try to be on the throttle right when he goes and fight him into turn one or fall in behind and block off and keep that position covered.
But definitely track position is going to be very, very crucial at the start of this race. You know, they do have quite a long section, especially where you come out of the penultimate turn. You've got the long sweeping right-hander going onto a long straight. So I do think there may be some tactical driving going on during this race. I mean, don't get me wrong, you could make a pass, you know, in that first part of that section I just mentioned, but realistically, you're going to lose it by the end of that straight. And definitely, you know, you've got to keep that in mind, as you were saying before the race as well, that hairpin catching a few of the drivers out. But it's going to be interesting to see what can happen. Jörg Manny, I'm surprised choosing to start from the back. He's definitely going to have his work cut out. And Antonio Reese, I believe, his closest competition in the standings. We'll get more into that a little bit later on. But these guys look like they're getting ready. Well, not quite yet. They're getting... They're certainly fired up and ready to go, and they're kind of, you know, in that little window at this point where, you know, you're keen, you're primed, but you just can't hit the gas pedal just yet, not just smash the thing.
They're taking the time during this lap to try to condition the tires a little bit, get some temperature into them. You don't want to overheat them early, but you don't want to attack this first lap with cold tires. They're now making their way through Ari Lindijk corner, going to be taking the green very soon. We're going to see who's best on cold tires here is going to have a good start and make some spots up. And who's not good on cold tires is going to struggle probably into that hairpin on the cut through.
We've got to say, it's interesting to see the 00 car having a AS delivery. Now, for those of us in America, Canada, and that side of the pond, it is a supermarket chain, but it looks like Bramley has chosen to go, and he is off and absolutely pulling away from the field right now, already trying to get half a second gap, but it looks like Dudu's managed to loop up the field 2 positions already, snaking that second position away from Bobby West and Jason Green, respectively.
Big fight between Jeff Fritcher and Adam Bradshaw for the Masters lead. Fritcher up 3 spots on that start, going to have the Masters lead over Bradshaw there in the Irish flag livery. Right now, sitting comfortably in P5. They've managed to work the field out pretty well so far. Single file through most of the field as they make the run down to turn 6.
Everyone's looking good so far, as we see there for Vini and Joshua Justice. Justice in the 99 car as the 28's gone off, been able to get the car stopped, but only just avoiding a major accident there. And you see there the 260 of Russell Telka. He's trying to get moving again. And the 28 is Daniel Wood. That's the gentleman who had the little bit of a whoops moment, but able to recover the car, keep things going, and without causing any huge detrimental effect to any of the other racers around him.
Danny Wood falling victim. Oh, we see some major damage in the back, and the number 40 cars around. A couple more cars collected as they come through the Hans Ernst chicane. He's going to try to get going again. That was Jeff Jacobson, and I couldn't tell who else that was. Looks like Wayne Buttermore on the back end. I don't think he was involved. I think he was just working his way through the field. I did see a hood flying up. I think Arnis Jusevic was part of that incident. Maybe got a little bit of damage, though. His car is looking pretty clean right now. Maybe we can get a replay of that. We see one car moving over, probably starting to slow down.
So here we go. Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Randall.
Jeff Jacobson here coming up to the Hans Ernst chicane. He has the preferred racing line, though. He has somebody sniffing on the inside. Runs a little wide to the first apex. Gets over here, and the door is closed on him. He had his foot right in there, and somebody came down and spun him around. They collected another couple cars. And the stewards are not going to be happy with that one.
Well, to be fair, looking at that one, I would flag it as a racing incident. I definitely don't think it was intentional, and it's very, very easily done. But you see there, Hayden Brownlee in the 00 car, the As the Price car, he is hot on the heel. Well, I say hot on the heels. He's got Dudu Castro hot on his heels, trying to get by. And that half a second gap he once had is now diminished. It's down to about 4 tenths of a second. Bobby West right behind him in third, with Jason Green a little bit further back in fourth.
Dudu Castro having an absolutely rocket ship start, getting 2 spots before they even got to turn 1. Probably going to be the biggest disaster for Hayden Bramley's day, because Dudu knows how to race.
Yeah, he definitely isn't a slouch, somebody who I raced against before, and he knows not just how to drive the car, but how to, keep things moving, and, the longer picture of the thing. But I see here, Jeff Fritcher, that's one of your masters, ladies and gentlemen. He's just going to set the fastest lap with 1:16.3, and it looks like Bramley is still trying to keep off the number 73 car of Dudu Castro.
Right now, it looks like everybody's biding their time. Not a lot of action going on. Fritcher, always pretty racy, so I expect that he'll be pressuring Jason Green to either pick up the pace or get out of the way Fritcher in that blue car, Green in the big green machine. We see Hayden Bramley still leading over Dudu Castro, Bobby West, Jason Green, Jeff Fritcher, and then Adam Bradshaw, Tom Gradwell. Antonio Race made his way up to 8th, and then Spec 2 leader is Chris Montgomery, but he has Josh Wilkie right on his tail.
Well, I want to try and focus on Jörg Manny a second because we know he started at the very back of the grid and he is already up 7 positions. So very keen to make some moves there. The Swiss driver doing everything he can, but it does appear he has quite a gap ahead of him, about a 4-second gap to the 544 of Andrew Love. But it's fair to say in a 40-minute race, he's got the pace. We'll have to see if he can close that down. As you see there, Dudu Castro, he's running the outside line. Hayden Bramley on the inside, the 00 car, just trying to not, defend the line, but to try and break the draft of Dudu Castro. And they're hugging the inside line. Castro getting a little bit of a better exit there and applying pressure under a 1/10 of a second now. Bramley doing everything he can to keep the 73 car behind him, with Bobby West very, very primed and in position to make a move should something go wrong.
We saw that Hayden, moved across the track to break up the slipstream, and normally I'd say he's not really doing much, but even without the slipstream, Dudu was almost alongside him by the time they got to turn 1. So Castro getting a good run out of turn 9 and was able to make that really stick coming down the front straightaway. We jump back to Antonio Rees, who's still stuck in 8th place, but he's got plenty of positions in front of him, cars right there, not very far away. So he has plenty of opportunity to get around these drivers and maybe make his way back into contact with the lead pack.
Well, that is definitely a big thing about the Spec Racer Ford. You do start seeing packs emerge, and you definitely want to try and stay ahead with the lead pack. It's one of them things where you got to play it tactically, ladies and gentlemen. You got to decide, do you want to fight the guy alongside you, or do you want to go for the bigger picture? And often, you got to weigh that up, pros and cons, but it looks like Dudu Castro is yet again trying to have a bit of a battle there with the 00 of Hayden Bramley. And Bramley, once again, breaking that draft, covering the inside line, and Dudu Castro there trying to do the switchback, not quite able to get it done. As I say that, it looks like he's putting a wheel on the inside, not quite able to get it in there. Definitely, he's trying, he's keen, and not only that, he's constantly applying pressure to the 00 car. So how long can Hayden Bramley focus on the line ahead rather than the cars behind?
Spending 40 minutes defending is not a very comfortable position to be in, but when you're in the lead of the race, you do not want to give it up easily. As we're going to jump back to watch a move from Antonio Rees coming into turn 1, gets the slipstream off the car ahead of him, manages to get alongside before they even get to turn 1. Going to have a pretty textbook overtake, gets it done under braking completely, takes the apex, and is up 1 more spot.
Definitely a solid pass past the 909 of Tom Gradwell. That's another one of the masters, ladies and gentlemen. But, Gradwell, it's not quite what he wanted to happen, but if he can potentially get onto the slipstream of Antonio Rees, that could be beneficial for both of them, as that is exactly what Hayden Bramley would appreciate right now, is having someone ahead, giving him the slipstream. Right now, he's the lead car, punching a Spec Ford-shaped hole. And you see there, I mentioned that, he's trying to break the draft, not able to weave down the whole straight. So good sportsmanship there, keeping it clean, keeping it respectable. But the whole field, well, I say the whole field, certainly 5 cars at least, potentially 6, hot in pursuit there. As you see there, you got Dudu Castro, Bobby West, Jason Green, and Jeff Frischer all looking to try and claim that top spot.
Now, Bobby West had to check up a little bit there while Dudu and Hayden ahead were engaging in the Iberian Snake. They were able to close up, and he had to back down a little bit at the apex, which put him under pressure from Jason Green, who was then pressured by Fritcher. We almost had some 2 or 3 wide situations going on there in the S's after turn 1. They get it worked out. Now Dudu has a bit of a gap ahead of him. Might try to maintain that gap through the chicane and then get a big run with the slipstream.
Well, as we say that, we got Kurt Nunes, who's we've got keeping an eye on now, and that's Jörg Manny alongside him. Actually, Jörg Manny just ahead of him, with Arnis Jusovic right behind him, and Gary Wobol as well in on the action. That is his 4-car back. Kurt Nunes in the second one of the pack, and I think I actually remember racing with him as well, and it's fair to say that he's definitely improved his driving skills, doing a very respectable job, if it is indeed the gentleman I'm thinking of. Doing a great job there, trying to battle with some of the regulars.
Oh, Castro hard into the wall, trying to follow. It looks like he was baited by Bramley a little bit into that inside wall. We'll see how much of that damage carries over, how much of it was netcode, but a big mistake out of Castro.
I'm definitely going to look forward to seeing a replay of that very shortly. This is just going to be the opportunity that Bobby West was looking for. Perhaps the draft being presented by Bramley will be enough for Castro to hold on, or is the damage going to be too much? Bobby West will be the first to capitalize on that should something happen. Let's take another look here. You see there, Dudu Castro right behind in the 73 car. Bramley defending once again, and he just cuts it a little bit firm there, going up on the bank section. We're going to skip forward potentially a little bit. As you see there, Bramley dipping a wheel as well. Here we go. That's Joshua Wilkie. And we're just going to flick through a few. Here we go. Dudu Castro, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the same replay from after the incident. It looks like, though, Castro's car looks to be steering pretty well, so maybe mostly cosmetic damage. It looked like a very heavy look to the wall, and you can see the damage there on the right side of the car. Now we're going to get it. We're going to see Bramley is going to move over, and Castro's going to go to follow him and just gets a little too eager, and that is a big slap, and it looked like he had the wheel mostly straight, so he might have gotten away with one.
I gotta say, what an absolutely fascinating tactic, and it's not one that I've seen too often. As you see, a
Bramley
locks up. Double zero locks up, and that opens the door. Dudu Castro has snuck through. Bramley now under attack. He's trying to keep it side by side. Bramley able to take the position back, albeit very briefly, as Castro goes up on the inside. Now Bramley on the inside. The 00 able to regain that position. Things are spicing up here with the Weekend Warriors.
Looks like a sprint car race going through that turn 3 left-hander, as we had different lines resolving going through the corner, and Bramley manages to hold on to the lead and then cooks it into the cut through. Put a little bit too much heat in those tires during that lockup and paid the price for it 5 corners later.
Well, this is exactly the opportunity that the 89 of Bobby West was looking for, but Bramley is definitely not going to take that sitting down. They've got to remember, you know, who are you fighting? Are you fighting the guy ahead, or do you want to try and take that top spot? As Bramley goes, takes a 00, and he is chasing yet again the 73 of Dudu Castro.
And now we see Josh Wilkie in the Spec 2 lead has joined this group, as well as Adam Bradshaw. So this group has went from 5 to 7. So now the battle for the lead getting even spicier.
Yes, this could be a very good opportunity there, as we see the Rattlesnake go straight down the start-finish line, and definitely a good position to be in, as it looks like these guys are going side by side yet again. Bramley up on the inside. I don't think Dudu Castro is going to get caught out by that pit wall again. That was definitely a very smooth move by Bramley, not one that I've seen before, but it's fair to say it paid off. Dudu Castro now at a slight disadvantage, and Bobby West not able to capitalize on such opportunities.
Right now, I think Bobby West, while hungry to lead a lap possibly, might just be letting these two duke it out after seeing how it's going for him. Just going to wait for them to maybe take each other out and inherit the lead off that. As we see, Bramley struggles with turn 6 once again, locks up that outside wheel as he's under braking, and this time Bobby West going to move up into P2.
Well, it looks like Jason Green is going to get a lick at that top podium as well. Bramley falling back through the order. And is Bobby West going to be able to keep up the pace of Dudu Castro? Now, our director having the same thought as me on this one. Is Dudu going to be able to keep ahead in the lead, having that very slight nudge with the wall? Is it going to be detrimental as we see him dipping a wheel in the sand? I almost had a toe in the water, but definitely different elements there. Bobby West right behind him, currently 4 tenths of a second as they start the start-finish straight. But at the end, we'll see how it goes. And it looks like Bramley is coming into the pits. And
that's Jason Green.
My apologies, Jason Green.
Jason Green dipping out of this says, enough for me. I'm going to go get some fuel now and maybe come out ahead of you guys later. We'll see how he's able to manage traffic, leading this part there, deriving down this the number of cars in this lead party to 6, which is easy for me to say apparently.
It's only words. I'm sure somebody's saying that, but I can't remember who. And I know our director hates it when I sing on stream. I personally find it very enjoyable, not just because I like to sing, but because I like to hear him groan in agony. But we see there the 422 of Arnes Josevic, the Latvian driver. And it looks like that's Jurg Manny ahead of him. No, that's Kurt Nunes. My apologies. Kurt Nunes there. He's having a little bit of a battle. We've got a freeway fight. Jurg Manny at the front of that battle. So Nunes doing an absolutely fantastic job staying with the Masters driver. And actually, these guys, both Masters. Jusevic's being the young gun in the series there.
Yeah, Jurg, he had an early bout of speed and was able to make some spots up, and now seems to have been a bit stalled as something's happened to this lead pack. I only see 4 cars in this lead pack where there were 6 earlier. We see Dudu Castro looking to come into the pit lane, definitely going to be taking some repairs with that damage as soon as his pit window opened.
Well, he may be just trying to cover off Jason Green as well. It's interesting to see that the early pit stops often having good success. Myself, I've always tried to stay with the lead pack. You see Jason Green pushed down to 19th as it stands. And who's that ahead of him now? That's Jeff Jacobson. Now, I do believe he got into a incident earlier. That's lap 1. He was caught in that action. And if I'm not mistaken, he has used his... No, he's not used his fast repair. At least if he has, I'm not aware of it. So Jason Green's going to be looking to get by as quick as possible, showing he's keen to get by. And here's Dudu Castro now. Where is Green going to be in comparison? As Green is going around the outside, it looks like Castro has managed to retain that lead for now.
Yes, he has Castro in his sights as he gets around Jacobson, but not quite there at pit exit. He's going to have a bit of a gap that's not completely insurmountable, but he's really going to have to be on the button to get there. We see Bramley back into the lead over Bobby West. Jeff Fritcher now up to P3 in that Masters division. And we see Wilkie lurking in the background with Bradshaw and Favini following him. We're going to take a look at this move again as Bramley moves to the inside, gets the move done very slowly, but eventually gets it done on corner exit. They're going to be possibly alongside No, gets the move done before turn 2, and the pretty textbook overtake in turn 1 once again.
Well, it looks like Bobby West is yet again getting caught out in turn 1 as Jeff Fritcher makes a move on him as well. And it's fair to say that it looks like Bramley's gone into the pits. He's bailed out as well. So a few of the drivers choosing to go for that undercut maneuver there. Bramley perhaps finding his tires a little bit hot. So not just pitting to try and get the fuel stop done and out the way, but potentially give the tires a chance to cool down and potentially reset. As you see, Dudu Castro, he is absolutely streaming by. Bramley still in the pits, nowhere to be seen. What has happened with Bramley?
It looks like Hayden Bramley took tires. We see the car coming down off the jacks. Bramley stopped for almost 10 to 12 seconds longer than everybody else that's come in. So that's going to really ruin his race unless the fresh tires are that much of an advantage. Right now, Jeff Fritcher leading the way in the Masters division and overall P1. We'll see he and Bobby West pit possibly this lap, maybe try to stretch it out now that they have the lead.
Well, I do think that was definitely a pit error by Bramley in the 00 car, and a little information there as well. So the iRacing default setting does have you taking tires and fuel, and in a 40-minute race, I don't see tires ever being an issue, not with these cars. As we see there, that's Joshua Wilkie, the 223 car, Canadian driver. He's coming in the pits as well. So it's definitely very interesting as well to see such a variety of pit strategies here in the Weekend Warriors. Myself, I've always tended to pit as late as possible, especially when there is a fast repair at stake, because with my driving, I may want to cash in on that as late as possible.
Absolutely. I've been in that same situation. We normally don't see this mix of strategy in the Spec Racer Ford. Most drivers will opt for that last moment pit, but we're seeing quite a variety, and it's really going to be interesting to watch how it all shakes out once the leaders pit and that lead group tries to recoalesce. Josh Wilkie's sitting still for a long time as well. He's been in the pits over 30 seconds, so there's something definitely wrong with his machine causing him to be still that long, and it doesn't look like he's up on the jacks.
Well, that Canadian driver may indeed have gone to get a coffee at this point. Maybe he's got a hardware issue, but a thought has just crossed my mind about the 89 car. It doesn't seem to be that he likes to be in that pole position, and that just gave me a little bit of logic. I wonder if he's trying to save fuel behind his competitors, maybe try and stretch it out as long as possible, because the reality is if you are there in the lead pack, well, you're already doing well anyway, so potentially trying to save room on the pit stop and take just a little bit of a splash and dash as much as possible.
This is a good track for saving fuel. We have some nice long straights, especially here on the front. There's some opportunities to lift and coast into some of the heavier braking zones, and the slipstream is going to aid in that. If we take a look, Arnis Jurcevics engaging in a bit of the Iberian Snake coming down the front straightaway in front of Kurt Nunez and behind Jurgen Manny. They get it settled down and are now going through turn 1. We see maybe a move for position back there behind. It's that Dudu Castro looking to make up some spots through traffic after his pit stop. Andrea Favini now racing with Adam Bradshaw. Favini gets the move done. We saw Favini really struggled with this corner in practice. He struggles with it a little bit again, though. Bradshaw not going to get the greatest run off that corner.
Well, it's one of those things where they're going in this part of the track, I think it's actually advantageous to be behind at this point because you're going to save an absolute boatload of fuel and carry a lot more speed, not just around the long banking corner, but down the start-finish straight. As we see Bobby West, I'm pretty sure at this point he's saving fuel. We know he's got pace, we know he's got talent, and I think at the minute Jeff Fisher is being used as a free tow to try and help him reduce his time in the pits.
Absolutely. These two are in tandem. They have another pair behind them quite a bit further back that aren't in range of Slipstream, and they're going to be fighting. It's Anna Bradshaw making a move on Andrea Favini going into turn one, gets that done before they even get to the entry and going to lead this time around. These guys have been swapping back and forth quite a lot. I don't think it's helping their cause to close that gap up to Bobby West, though.
Definitely remembering that, they're fighting each other rather than chasing the goal ahead of them. But it all comes down to, what matters to you. The 929 is currently, he's second in the Masters division. And Bobby West up front, he's currently leading the S1 read. So, what do you want to do in this? Obviously, the points, they carry over on outright position. The classes do not get different points. But I'm pretty confident that Bobby West in the 89 is saving fuel. What I am wondering, though, is are these guys potentially bump drafting? Is Bobby West giving the 943 of Fritzsche a little bit of a nudge down the straights?
These cars are pretty fragile, and they have a bit of an issue with the bump draft when it comes to iRacing in particular, in that it's exceptionally easy to bump a little too hard, which will give both drivers 4 incident points. And the incident points in this league are very tight. You get only 12 before you have to serve a drive-through penalty. So I don't think we'll see much bump drafting out of these drivers, but it is a possibility, yes.
Certainly, when I did a race with these guys a few weeks ago at Daytona, one of my favorite tracks. Well, we'll leave that on hold for a minute. Adam Bradshaw and Andrea Favini having a little bit of a go again. But, at Daytona, obviously that long sweeping straight, you was able to give it a little bit of a nudge. And I found a lot of the drivers were not so much keen on that. I think one of the Joshuas may have been giving me a nudge. You see Favini taking quite a wide line there. Bradshaw up on the inside. But again, at the part of the track they're at, they're coming down to the hairpin. Is this going to yet again catch out Favini?
We'll see him as he throws out the anchors. He's taking a very early apex, kind of turning that hairpin into a double apex, keeps it nice and tight through there. Does not struggle this time, so I think he's adjusted his braking mark a little bit. As we see Yursevic still following Manny. Dudu Castro lurking in his mirror, though. He's going to be closing that gap pretty quick, and he's going to be keen to get around both these guys without losing much time, because he needs to make sure that he doesn't lose any time at all in traffic in order to make this undercut work.
Well, as we're having a look... Oh, sorry, Randall, go ahead.
Yeah, we're seeing that he has still carrying a lot of damage on that car, so maybe they do not have a fast repair after all, or he forgot to check it. So he's going to have some issues with straight line speed, so he really needs to get up and catch them in the slower bits and get that slipstream.
Well, it's definitely, if he can find a car ahead of him of somewhat similar pace, that draft will be absolutely huge. As you see there, Jason Green lurking in the background with, it looks like Jeff Jacobson right behind him as well. Did I get that right, Jeff Jacobson?
Fritzsche coming out of the pits from the lead. Left Bobby West. Bobby West stayed out there on his own, so he's going to be on an island a bit. He really needs to come in this lap, or he's going to be suffering from being out there alone and not having any of that slipstream. Possibly a sign that he is able to save a lot of fuel, though, that he stayed out.
Potentially as well, but it looks like Antonio Reese has been able to get around Jeff Fritzsche. Now, Jeff Fritzsche, we did see come out of the pits as well, but Reese applying pressure to Jacobson in the number 40 car, and he's got to be very aware of the 943 right behind him as well. Risk versus reward. If you're going to make a move, you got to make sure that you don't, in turn, sacrifice the position you already have. As you see there, Fritzsche taking a little bit of a wider line there, but I think he's going to get an absolutely fantastic exit. As you see there, already closing on the back of the 914 car, and he's going to have a lovely slipstream going out, heading down the start finish.
Antonio Reese came into the pits on lap 6. We just saw Fritzsche come out of the pits, so this is an actual battle for position here in the Masters division, which means Antonio Reese may be rejoining this lead pack after his poor qualifying effort saw him starting in the midfield.
Well, definitely there is a lot to play for, and this is where I thought, Fisher would have that draft, but he's dropped back a little bit too far. Reese on the very back of Jacobson as George Manny, he's come in the pits now, the Swiss driver in the 925 machine. It'll be fair to say, quite late a pit, he's not going to be taking too much fuel as Antonio Reese currently sat in the 10th position.
Bobby West did not pit that time around, so he's opting to stay out. Maybe still employing some fuel-saving techniques. Not going to be able to save as much without a slipstreaming partner, but we'll see when he does come into the pits. But I think it's going to be to his detriment staying out this much longer. Ultimately, the stopwatch will tell the tale, and we'll see how that works. Antonio Reese has made his way up and is now starting to put a gap between him and Jacobson.
Oh, as we say that, I was starting to wonder about the lap times. And the last lap, Bobby West did do a 117.5. That clear air currently not hurting him too far. Dudu Castro, despite the damage with a 117.4, he was the quickest guy on track last lap. So it's fair to say at the minute, Bobby West is doing okay in that clear air. As Antonio Reese, he's still got a bit of ground to make up. He's 3.6 seconds behind Jason Green. So definitely no slipstream for him at this point.
And he's quite a far way behind Dudu Castro, so maybe not enough to get in contact with that lead pack. After the pit cycle completely works its way out, though, it looks like the lead pack is going to be much smaller than we saw before, so probably only going to be 3 or 4 cars after the pit cycle works out instead of the 7 or 8 we were hoping for.
Oh, a lot remains to be seen there, as it looks like Bradshaw and Favini are back at it again. Bradshaw in the lead right now. That gap as low as a 10th of a second very briefly, and it looks like Favini has learned his mistakes from that chicane as he's almost side by side. Definitely wants to tuck back in behind as he does so, getting as much of that slipstream as he can, applying pressure to the car of Adam Bradshaw, the 929 machine, and this is where he's going to be very glad to be behind in this pack. He needs to stay tucked in under that rear axle and gain as much draft as he can, get closer and closer, and potentially make a move going down into turn 1 as they head round the final corner before the start finish.
In Favini's position, you probably want to do the opposite of what Bradshaw does here. Pit if he doesn't, and stay out if he does. It looks like he's going to stay out and make the move to the inside. We've seen this position swap hands a bunch of times. We have Antonio Reese has had an incident here. It looks like he's coming off of turn 6, possibly going to have an incident in the Hans Ernst chicane. You see him running down to the entry to that now. Gets over onto the, runs a little bit wide. Yeah, just overcooks that entry. Gets into the gravel, spins it around, manages not to collect anybody else. Waits patiently and then rejoins the race safely. But that's going to cost him a lot of time and give that spot back to Jeff Fritcher.
Is definitely not what he had in mind, but that puts Bradshaw in a very good position for the Masters, but he's currently got Andrea Favini to worry about as well. Let's give Andrew Love a little bit of love as well. He's currently leading the S2 division, having an absolutely fantastic race so far. So you see here, here's a replay of Adam Bradshaw in the 929 car. Oh, my bad, Andrew Love in the 544. There we go. We're live again. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen.
Love with a little bit of a lockup going into the hairpin there, trying to track down Bobby Gould, but putting a little punishment onto that inside tire probably won't damage it too much. Maybe just give it a little bit of heat that could pay off, or you might have to pay that interest in a few corners, but so far it looks good for him.
Well, we're back on board with Hayden Bramley. That was your pole sitter, and he is in the 00 car. And definitely, I think, a little bit of a pit stop error there. The mechanics choosing to put some tires on, a little bit of a whoop there. But Dudu Castro, you can see the damage on the right front of his vehicle. That fender is definitely damaged. And these cars not high on the power count, definitely lacking in the horsepower department, but not lacking in racing pedigree for sure. A lot of fun. And it looks like Castro is trying everything he can to catch up of the back of Andrew Love in that absolutely flamboyant machine ahead of him in the 544.
He could be your effective race leader once the pit cycle works itself out. Everybody in front of him has not yet pit, so we'll watch as it works itself out. I think he's going to have his hands full with Bobby West, though, once Bobby makes his pit. As long as Bobby doesn't have any issues with the pit entry, doesn't pick up any sort of speeding penalty, should be in a good position to challenge Dudu for the win.
Well, I was wondering what the mixed colored car was, and it was actually Wayne Buttermore in the 971 machine, but Bobby West still staying out at the minute, and he's definitely going with the tactic that I would do, and that is pit as late as possible. But when is he going to come in? Is he going to be this lap? With 13 minutes remaining, it looks like, yep, now is the time. Where is he going to emerge after the pit stop? Will that clean air have paid off for him?
See, as he comes into the pit lane, Dudu coming through the Hanzern chicane, now taking to turn 9, going to be attacking Ari Lindike corner, and I'll try to get a good look here at the pit exit to see exactly where Bobby West comes out. Right now, Bobby West still sitting stationary in his pit lane as he's approaching 10 seconds stationary. Now rolling again with a 9.95 second pit stop. We'll see where he comes out as he's making his way through the exit. Here comes Dudu through turn 1. It's going to be a drag race. I think Dudu might have the advantage here. Going to be very close. Bobby West going to come in, rejoin the track behind Dudu Castro, but close enough to possibly attack. And Jason Green there, not too far behind either. They could close this gap up, especially if Dudu's straight line speed is affected by that damage.
I think at the minute, Bobby West is in a very good position. If he can stay within that 1 second of Dudu Castro, I think he's going to be able to reel him in. That damage will have a noticeable effect in the Spec Racer Ford. Jason Green, he's not quite there. He's about 1.6 seconds back. But if these guys start fighting, that could put the 160 Green Machine in that battle as well.
Yeah, his race is not over. He'll be looking at his shots the second that he sees that fight start ahead of him, and he'll be closing that gap very quickly. We see a couple more drivers here. Andrew Love, Jurcevics battling for position. Jörg Manny tracking behind them with Tom Gradwell in tow behind him as they make their way through the national cut through, and really just a lot of pressure getting applied to a lot of drivers up and down the field here.
Oh, absolutely. And that is one of my favorite things about the Weekend Warriors. There is always somebody to race with. As we're looking at Adam Bradshaw right now. My apologies. Dudu Castro, the Delinte Esports by Tony Kanaan. That's definitely a name some of you guys will be familiar with. I know the name, and I'm pretty sure he's an IndyCar driver, but please forgive me if I'm wrong. I do apologize. But I do see it looks like there was maybe an incident for Chris Montgomery, who is currently leading the S2, but it's fair to say if there is, he's still doing all right, as it looks like Jurcevics has managed to make it past Andrew Love.
Andrew Love giving up the spot. And a little bit of an incident there with Castro in a lap in another car. Who is that he's racing? Bobby Gould. A little bit of contact going to add more damage to the front of that car. We're going to see the car ahead getting onto the brakes a little heavy, due to carrying more speed, and look at the front end damage on Castro's car now. And Daniel, I'm sorry, but not only is Tony Kanaan an IndyCar racer, he's a milk aficionado. He has won the Indy 500.
Again, I do apologize. You know, if you go F1, I will know a little bit more. But at the minute, there is battles happening all over the field. It looks like Adam Bradshaw took his pit, and Joshua Justice is now leading the race, ladies and gentlemen. For Joshua Justice Racing in the number 99 machine. Now, has Justice pit yet? Sadly not. He's one of the few still remaining, so it will be a short-lived lap. But Dudu Castro under attack by Bobby West, and it looks like who's that? Another car behind. Is that Bradford Gould as well? Yeah, Bradford Gould in the 197 machine, kind of sneaking up into the action.
Brad Gould kind of come out of nowhere here. We weren't really expecting him to be joining this pack, and now finds himself currently up 8 spots from where he qualified. Going to be 9 once Josh Justice pits. Now finds himself in the lead battle. Actually, looks like Gould has not yet pit, so he's not effectively into this battle. But he'll be coming into the pits probably this lap. Joshua Justice now out of the pit, or now in the overall lead, going to be pitting this lap. Also, probably going to lead a lap and get a bonus point there.
Well, it looks like if you were to try and dip a measuring tool in the fuel tanks for the 099 car and the 197, you'd be looking at hopes and dreams. Justice is going to have to pit very soon. And yep, it looks like it's going to be this lap. So he will remove himself from that top position. Dudu Castro will be keen to take over. But at this point, I think Bobby West has basically got him dead to rights. He'll realize that Castro is under attack, under damage. And it looks like Castro just choosing to defend the inside line. Bobby West looked like he held back there, potentially saving a little bit more fuel and using Castro for a free tow.
Could also be trying to lull Castro to sleep, letting him not know exactly when he's going to attack, and then make his move when he thinks it's best, maybe even waiting to the last lap. Right now, Jason Green not able to close that gap up as we see Adam Bradshaw engaged in yet another fight here with Daniel Wood this time instead of Andrea Favini, who he's been dealing with all race. Going to keep that position over Wood for now as they come in through turn 3, and that's Kurt Nunez trying to join this battle, and Antonio Race behind.
Well, it's interesting to see how it's going to be going out. But another thing I had thought about Bobby West as well, is he just going to try and save his pass for the last move? As we see there, Adam Bradshaw making an absolutely beautiful pass on Daniel Wood.
The turn one passes are always very pretty textbook. You just got to outbrake your rival after you get alongside and just make the move stick on the inside there of turn one. We see Bobby West has fallen back a little bit off Castro. We'll probably see this gap evaporate with the slipstream and with Dudu's damage. Dudu still trying to break the toe, and Bobby not really that interested in following him over, thinking it's not going to be that much faster to move back and forth across the track. As we see now, he's got Green, the big green machine, in his mirror closing in. So you have to wonder, even though Bobby West was saving fuel before the pit stop, maybe he underfueled a little bit too much and is having to take it easy, as Green is really closing the gap now.
Yeah, that gap earlier on when they came out the pits was about 1.6 seconds. It's now down to about 1.2, 1.3. But there is action happening further through the field. It's one of the Masters drivers. It's Adam Bradshaw, him and Daniel Wood going hard at it, switching positions this way and that. Is Bradshaw going to be able to get that position back? I mean, don't get me wrong, Daniel Wood is in the Spec 1, but, Fritcher is up the road. Is Bradshaw going to have the time, have the real estate to make that move? Probably not, but he's still going to want to try and get as many cars as he can between himself and Antonio Reese.
I tell you what, Adam Bradshaw is going to be sweating through his boots the way that he's had to work the entire race. He's been dealing with somebody the entire time. It doesn't seem like he's been able to stay in one position for 2 consecutive laps. He's always having to deal with somebody either overtaking him or him overtaking them and going into turn one every single lap.
But that, to be honest, that would be my favorite kind of racing. I'm not a big fan of having clean space, and I want somebody to play with, and it looks like this guy is definitely keeping himself busy there as well. But, time is ticking with about 6 minutes left to go. He's getting as much of that draft as he can, and it looks like Daniel Wood's chosen to hug the inside as Jason Green has caught up to the backside of Bobby West. Is the 89 versus the 160. I say that it's the 28 versus, I've lost him, the 929.
Bradshaw defending that position, taking the higher line and still getting that position off of the other car. And now we see Jason Green is going to try to get around Bobby West as quickly as he can and try to close that gap up to Dudu Castro. Right now, Dudu licking his lips, seeing that fight going on behind him, knowing that he has that damage. Anytime that they cost themselves is just going to play further into Castro's hands.
Definitely the best news that Castro could certainly hope for. As you're saying, as we see Jurcevic there, he is applying a pressure as well. And I believe that's Jurg Manny. Yeah, that's Jurg Manny ahead of him. A little bit more of a modest paint scheme this time. Certainly, the one he ran in the Formula 1600 definitely catching me off guard, with Andrew Love just a short way behind him. He's having a battle with Tom Gradwell. So that's Tom Gradwell. He's in the Masters. Jurg Manny up the road from him in the Masters as well. He's going to be keen. But right now, it looks like Jason Green in the 160 car. He's going up on the inside. He's going to try and get it done past Bobby West, and Bobby West tucks in behind, chooses not to fight, as Andrea Favini has a battle as well with Jeff Fritcher, able to get that done, heading down into turn one, albeit very briefly there.
Gets that run in turn one on the inside. There's a little bit of contact. Looks like Fritcher maybe got a bit of oversteer there on exit, came across the track, made some light contact with Favini, and manages to get that position in front of them as they go through turn three. Jason Green's made his way around Bobby West. Now he needs to really be on the button to try to close that gap to Dudu Castro. Has 4 minutes to get up there, 4 minutes plus a lap maybe. So he has time to close the gap, especially with that damage on Castro. We see Fritcher runs a little bit wide through turn 6, giving a bit of a sniff to Bramley, who's managed to make a pretty good recovery on those fresh tires. He's going to be much faster than these other drivers with those fresh tires. Even if it did cost him a lot of time, he's all over the back of Fritcher right now.
Well, he's definitely having a good recovery drive. He dropped back very heavily through the field there. I don't think it was intentional that he took tires, but for a second I thought he was going to get a buy one, get one free, especially driving that Asda car, as he almost had 2 of those drivers going around that cut through to the National. But it looks like he's held off, and he's going for Frischer this time. It's going to be the Hayden machine versus the Frischer machine, and it looks like Bramley with the extra speed, the 00, absolutely going for it. He's going to put that car very planted on the inside line, heading into turn 1. I believe my colleague has muted his mic, but it looks like Antonio Reese is there going for it. He's in the battle now with Hayden? Nope, try again. Adam Bradshaw, Antonio Reese, and Daniel Wood. These guys battling hard at it. And it looks like Joshua Justice may be starting to make an appearance behind him as well. Yeah, that's currently ahead is Daniel Wood. He's in the 28 machine, and he's got an absolute rearview mirror full of Adam Bradshaw at this point. Antonio Reese right behind. Joshua Justice a little bit further back there.
We saw a very ambitious move there out of Antonio Reese, looking to make it 3 wide into turn 1. Had to really choke off his entry, which killed his momentum through that corner. Was not able to get any moves done. Still lurking there in the middle of that pack. Kurt Nunez lurking in his mirror. Joshua Justice looking to make something happen here towards the end of the race. This is one of the best battles we've seen on track until Green is able to close that gap up to Castro. So right now we're just going to watch these drivers duke it out. Maybe see another move out of Antonio Reese this time coming down the front straightaway.
And I can see there our director pointing out my incompetence, which, don't get me wrong, is a valid move, but Kurt Nunez 100% is that lapped car. You can see the battle for 8 screen on the bottom right. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. He's caught in that mix, very much keeping out of it at the minute. As you see there, guy trying to break the draft, very aggressive turn there, and it looks like Bradshaw's been able to sneak up the inside. Now, as this opened the door for Antonio Reese in the 914, he's almost side by side with Daniel Wood in the 28 car, not quite able to get it done, but definitely applying a lot of pressure till it hurts.
These guys are absolutely going at it. Elbows are out. The gloves have been thrown out of the car, and it is completely on. Everybody wants this spot at the front of this pack, and nobody wants to give it up.
At the minute, he is looking for a special flyer deal to try and get that position. And that is... I couldn't resist, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. The puns are where it's at for me. But Daniel Wood trying everything he can to get past the Irish machine of... where's it gone? Adam Bradshaw trying everything he can. Very aware of Antonio Reese right behind him as well. We've got multiple battles happening throughout the field, and it looks like Joshua Justice, he's keen to get past Kurt Nunez as well and get involved in that fight. He has caught up about 0.5 of a second in the last lap or so. And speaking of last lap, we're going to be on it very soon. That is it. The white flag is waving, ladies and gentlemen. It is now or never.
Jason Green not managed to close that gap at all, but is still staying ahead of Bobby West. Bobby West keeping right on his tail. And we see this battle. Jeff Fritcher had a little bit of contact with Hayden Bramley there. We've seen it a couple laps in a row. They're out of Jeff Fritcher, gets a little bit loose on the exit. They're going to make the run through turn 3. Fritcher going to have the inside, but it's not the preferred line. Hayden Bramley going to have a lot of momentum on the outside. And the inside line on the run down to turn 6 should be able to get this done. Andrea Favini there lurking in the background. And he locks up a little bit. Going to give the spot back to Fritcher, and Favini going to inherit a spot. And we're going to see a 3-way fight for this position as well, coming down the front straight to take the checkered flag.
Well, he had the traction of a shopping cart in that hairpin, not quite able to get it done. He went in all the way and definitely did not come back with the deal he was looking for, but it looks like Bradshaw has dropped back. Antonio Reese has managed to take that position from him, and he is running out of time if he wants to get it back. Antonio Reese second in the Masters right now. Fisher much further up the road, but can Reese hold on from Bradshaw? This is still a battle in the Masters division. As we see there, Dudu Castro across the line, Bobby West in second with Jason Green. It looks like Bobby West
snuck a spot there from Green there at the last moment, got him across the line. Favini gets the spot there in that group, and we see all kinds of action as the drivers are coming across the line. Adam Bradshaw with a yell of Aaron Gobra as he crosses. Now Bradford Gould going to be making his way in P11 to take a good finish in this race. One of the last to take a pit stop. And the last few cars are going to be coming across the line now. No real big battles that we can see. Russell Telker here in P18 coming off Ari Lindike corner and going to be coming across the line. So we're going to take a look at the Bobby West, Jason Green pass, and it looks like just an absolute slingshot engage. Bobby West comes alongside, maybe a little bit of contact, and what a photo finish there at the end. We'll have to wait for the official results. Bobby West may not have actually gotten that, so we'll see what it says in the official standings once the race is over.
We're having a look at the move on Reese on Bradshaw. This is near the closing stages of the race. Lots of action happening all over this, and this is the move we was looking for. And it looks like Bradshaw just pushed a little bit wide, and Antonio Reese said, thank you very much, I'll take that action. And he does everything he can, smashing the gas pedal to the floor, trying to make the most of the situation presented to him. And through the chicane, definitely pushes a little bit on the wider side, but able to keep the car in control. But that isn't going to be over yet. He had to keep Bradshaw behind him for the remainder of the race. That huge, massive opportunity for Bradshaw to get a tow, and it looks like Reese was able to hold on to it there. We're looking at the results, he certainly was, and pulled away a little bit from Bradshaw there. And you can see there, that is one of the cars.
Oh, contact!
Reese spins!
Antonio Reese gets spun out by Bradshaw. And we also saw coming through that chicane that Daniel Wood fell back into the clutches of Joshua Justice with a little bit of a squirrely line through the chicane. And who is that coming up on an absolute heater on the outside? Maybe that was Daniel Wood's car. We're just getting a different angle. But some drama there in the last corner. Antonio Reese, after all of that hard work, gets spun out off the nose of Adam Bradshaw.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what an absolutely subliminal race that was. Like, I don't know if that was the right word. It's the one I'm going with at this point. But let's take a look at our race results for 2024 S3 of the Weekend Warriors for Spec Ford Week 9 here at Zandvoort. Well, in your race winner was Dudu Castro. Despite the damage, he was first, with Bobby West in second as it stands right now. And here you go, ladies and gentlemen, the timing between it. Let me do some quick zippy map here. 6 thousandths of a second separating, and Bobby West able to snake that position. Jason Green in third, with Andrea Favini in fourth. Jeff Fritchett, your Masters winner, in fifth, with Hayden Bramley, the 00 as the Price Machine, in sixth. Adam Bradshaw in seventh, with Daniel Wood in eighth. Joshua Justice in ninth. Chris Montgomery closes out your top 10 with Bradford Gould in 11th. Jörg Manny in 12th. He started at the back of the grid, remember. Tom Gradwell in 13th, with Arnes Jusevics in 14th. Andrew Love in 15th. Antonio Reese with that late incident, that late spin, in 16th. Jeff Jacobson, he got caught up earlier in 17th, with Russell Telker in 18th.
19th is going to see Paul Jackson with Gary Wobolt in 20th. Kurt Nunez, who was a lap down and involved in one of the battles there, in 21st. Brad Cathcart in P22. Wayne Buttermore, who we didn't hear much of this race, comes home in P23. And Josh Wilkie, who had a really good run going. I think maybe he had an issue on pit lane, probably caught a penalty on entry, and then decided to retire the car, brings home the final position.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. What a absolutely fantastic result and an absolutely fantastic race. Definitely a lot of action going on. And I gotta say, I had Bobby West picked out as my race winner, and it's fair to say I was wrong, but he definitely put in a good performance. But I believe we're going to be able to catch up with some gentlemen very shortly for an interview. But let's have a look. Here we go. Now that's race results. We did that. We're good. We got that covered. Dudu Castro there, sneaking in a little bit of a cheeky headshot, the photo bomb of the century. And I gotta say, what an absolutely fantastic still shot there from our director. As you can see there, a little bit of issues there with the broadcast, but that's okay. We're going to get it back to it in just a second. Meantime, we want to thank as well, obviously, Stevie Ray. He's very, very heavily involved as well. And, everybody who comes out and takes part in such a series as well. I gotta say, what would be some of your thoughts there, Randall?
Another spectacular race out of the Spec Racer Fords. Not at all surprised. These drivers deliver every single week. It's one of the most exciting leagues to commentate on, or probably even to watch. I love this league, and it looks like maybe Daniel, did you find Dudu Castro?
I believe I did, Dudu. I've got to say, what an interesting race. We saw you get almost like deked by the 00 car of Hayden Bramley. Tell us a little bit about how your race went, and if the damage was really quite susceptible on the vehicle.
Well, hi guys. Hi. Well, Daniel, was absolutely an unpredictable result for me. I couldn't do any lap during this week. So I just jumped into the server with already 20 minutes on. Then I asked some guys if they could share a set with me. A few did. So I had to choose one. And I was working above his set. And for me, doing the turn 6 was a nightmare. I still can't do well right now. And yes, I think I had a good start. I started following Hayden. and Hayden wanted to fight in the beginning of the race, and I wasn't. So then I decided, no, okay, I'm gonna pass this guy. Then I hit the wall. I had a damage on the car, and then I said, well, let's see if I can pit. Then I saw Jason Green doing, and then I said, well, okay, I'm gonna do with him, the same as he did. And in the worst case scenario, we are gonna go together up to the front. But I left the pit in front of him. I think I had a good pace leaving the pit. Then this undercut just put me up ahead of everyone. And at the end, I think Bobby West had some issue with fuel. He had to lift a bit and gave me a gap to go for the victor. So it was really, really good for me. Really, absolutely unpredictable results for me.
Well, definitely watching the race, I thought that you were going to be out of it for a little bit, but what a recovery. But Dudu, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Well, you guys, of course, doing this amazing transmission. Always. I saw yesterday that Adam is leaving SMB, so I wish him the best luck. And I would like to give a big kiss to my dad. Today is Dad's birthday. Dad's Day here in Brazil. So it's Father's Day here in Brazil. So I'm just want to do a big hug to my dad and wish him the best always.
Thank you, Dudu, for the shout out, and also thank you. Thank your dad for me for well, never mind. I can't get into that on stream, but I'm sure he's a good dad.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm going to tell you, man, your video yesterday that I saw was hitting my heart, man. I believe, of course, hitting yours and everyone's too, but wow, it was tough to end the video as the same as I beginning. So I wish you the best luck wherever you go.
Oh, thank you so much, Dudu.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dudu Castro. That was your race winner. And there is a reason we don't have webcams here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to tear up a little bit. And you've been able to... I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. Randall, we may have had a slight technical glitch. There may have been a few tears in the director's eyes. You know, that's okay. But Randall, I understand you've been able to catch up with... let's see who we got. Bobby West or Jason Green? Bobby West.
I was able to find Bobby West. Bobby keeping it exciting, winning that race for second place by 6/1000ths of a second. What was going through your head there at the end of the race?
That I wasn't going to get there and I wasn't going to have enough fuel. Because Jason beat me to that line in a very similar run in one of the officials in the week. So I wasn't expecting to beat him this time. So yeah, but the second across the line, I ran out of fuel. So yeah, I didn't quite calculate it right or something. I don't know. Like, I've used the same system for 3 years now, and then in Monza, which was the last race I did, and this one, I'm just like a fraction short when I come out. So I'm having to save again, which I don't really want to do.
So we were commenting that maybe you were saving some fuel through the first stage of the race. Is that true? And what was your tactic to do that?
Yeah, I was. So just because we had a pace lap, so it uses a minimal amount, but I just wanted to save that bit back and then try and shorten my pit stop. But it just wasn't saving. Like the gap in the difference wasn't actually coming down. I don't know why. What I was expecting to need to take, I was a bit iffy. So I put in what I thought, and yeah, it was still close.
So when he came out of the pit lanes and saw Dudu Castro right there with damage, did you think you had a shot at the win?
Yeah, I did, and then I started counting laps to go, and I was like, oh, maybe not. I tried to just save a bit behind him, but then it worked for the first couple of laps, but I thought I'm not saving enough here. And then the laps to go in the fuel box wasn't quite matching up what I needed. So yeah, I tried to save a bit more, and he just started to edge away a bit too much, and then I fell into Jason.
So despite some fuel troubles, you managed to come home with a very exciting second place finish. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we let you go celebrate that?
Just say hi to my mom and dad, who are probably watching us right now, and say hi to my girlfriend, who's still seeing her family in Italy. She's back in a couple of places. So hi to them both.
Well, that was Bobby West, your overall P2 winner. Congratulations to Bobby. And Daniel, I think you found Jason Green. Oh, sorry. Adam's going to take this one.
I found Jason Green. Thank you very much. I broke out of the production booth and I went down to the pits because I don't like you guys up in the commentary booth anyway. So I went down and I found Jason Green. Jason, you were a sleeper that whole race, man, until the last lap. What the hell happened? What a race at the end. What was your strategy? You just barely got pipped at the line.
Yeah, I don't know how Bobby got me. Every race this week, that would have been enough of a gap to, so that's why I didn't really leave at all, because I didn't think he had a chance to catch me. And then, yeah, he just got me at the line by like 6 thousandths of a second. So yeah, well done by Bobby. I think he ran out of fuel at the line. So yeah, well done by him to manage it and to just pit me at the line, like you said.
You know, you guys make my job extremely hard, especially at the end of all these races when I'm trying to go through all the battles. And there's about 12 different packs of cars, and 3 of them are crossing the line at the same time. So thank you for that. But also, yeah, try to space out a little bit next time. Could you, Jason?
Right. Well, I mean, that's what I was trying to do when I pitted early. They were battling a little, yeah, it was getting a little wild up there. We were lapping way slower than we could. So I thought I would pit early. Get in some good quality laps. Unfortunately, Dudu had the same idea as me, so I took a little bit too much fuel, was out of his draft, and yeah, Dudu is alien level quick, so just wasn't quite able to close the gap up again.
Yeah, Randall did mention we saw you take that pit stop early, and was that before or after you saw Dudu bounce off the wall going down the front stretch that you decided to get out of there? But nonetheless, Dudu still got the win. You take home 3rd place. Great finish for the race, and obviously, I don't even know our own schedule here, so let me see what is coming up next for you guys. We are at Nürburgring. Are you excited about that one?
It'll be interesting. So we're running the 24-hour layout, so it's the combined track. Yeah, it's not one of my better tracks. There's a lot of people quicker than me there, but yeah, it's still pretty fun. And the SRF should be a wild race. It usually splits up into packs, kind of like what we had today. But it's still a draft track in these cars, so it should be an interesting race.
Well, I'm excited to see that one. I'm excited to see all these, and I'm excited to see you again on Tuesday night. But Jason, anybody you want to shout out or thank before we let you go?
Shout out to Bobby and Dudu. They both drove incredible races. So yeah, shout out to them.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was Jason Green, and now I am finding my way back to my production booth. Door's still locked in the commentary booth, so I'll let you guys take this one home.
Oh, there wasn't much of a fight. We basically boot kicked him out of here. But ladies and gentlemen, what an absolutely fantastic race. Action happening all across the field, and it's certainly something I've been looking forward to. We was at Zandvoort this week. As you can see, quite a hot track temperature as well, warming up a little bit in the closing stages. But let's take a look about what we got coming next here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. So tonight, 8:10 Eastern, Asphalt Street Stocks at the Nürburgring. That is definitely going to be a handful, ladies and gentlemen. I come and suggest that you watch that. Thursday night, we're going over the mountain in GT3 cars with Simcar. And then on Sunday, you've got a double hit of Weekend Warriors. The Formula Fords will be at Owen Park, and then the Spec Racer Fords are going to be at the Nürburgring. That long layout, as Jason Green was telling us. But ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Daniel Zippy Salmon. We've had joining us in the booth Randall McGrew, and at the controls and sometimes letting near a mic, Adam Thompson. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we're going to see you later tonight at XSLR.
You guys gotta quit locking me out. I had to kick down the door again because you forgot. We do have one on Saturday as well. Formula V's Weekend Warriors. Thank you so much to Michelle Lynn for putting that one on for us. But I guess I'll go ahead and end it now. I'm sorry, Daniel. I took your thunder there a little bit. But guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys in a few hours at the Nürburgring.
I see a Budweiser. Go ahead and hold it up.
Yes.
That was the biggest clue.
Yes, right
Doing
there.
it for Dale.
Man, it's so many gimmicks, right? I feel like they're making it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. I mean, a lot of people, you get polarizing opinions on DRS.
I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here, but sometimes the effort, it's all about the boys. You know, like, hey, you
It
know,
is.
life sucks sometimes, and you need
Yes.
the boys.
iRacing kind of always has a tendency to kind of buff
Yes.
the new cars just a little bit. I'm not going to go on record saying it's because they want people to spend money on their platform and buy all the new
Conspiracy
content.
confirmed.
But
Yes.
but